My topic today is speaking power unto truth. Speaking power unto truth. When I was getting that topic, I questioned myself. I said, isn't it speaking truth unto power? And the Spirit voice said, no, it's this. And then I was going through a few of my old spirit letters, and that phrase kept coming up. Speaking power unto truth. And you say, well, how do you know what's truth? Like, what is truth? I don't know. None of us know, like, how to define truth. You can't put the finite in the infinite. We don't know what anything is. What is life? You know, what is love? What is beauty? What is art? They can't be defined, but they have characteristics. We don't know exactly what love is, but we know when we see it. Okay? We can't define creativity, but we know when we see it. Okay? And truth has certain markings. Truth has certain markings. One, truth is all-inclusive. It's whole and it's holistic. It leaves nothing and no one out. Truth is beyond circumstance. It's not transitory. It doesn't come and go. It has an eternality about it. It transcends culture and time and history. It is beyond that which is man-made. If it's fundamentally true, it existed millions of years ago. It will exist millions of years from now. If it is fundamentally true, then it is something that the simplest, most uneducated mind in the most remote part of the world at any point in time in history could have figured out. It's that simple. Truth is not that complicated. It's very comprehensive. Okay, but it's not complicated. It's kind of like a spider web where there's a certain basic pattern. That pattern keeps repeating itself like bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's the same pattern that just keeps repeating itself. Okay? One thing we know about this truth is that it's everywhere present at all times. It's not hiding, and it's equally accessible and available to all. These are some of the fundamental things about truth, with the big T. Now, there's our little personal individual truths that have to do with what happens to us and how we name what happens to us, because our experience isn't what happens, it's how we name it. But the big truth is bigger than that. The big truth is bigger than your little personal experiential truth, which is why we say all the time there are at least two sides to every story, and then the truth. Okay? So your little t is your side, but you will never creep into the truth, the big T, until you're willing to relinquish your side. Listen to what I'm saying. When I say relinquish your side, I'm not saying give up on your values, give up on your principles. What I'm saying is give up on your rightness. Give up on thinking that your way, the way that you see it, is the only way, because if what you're thinking or feeling or what you're trying to create isn't big enough to include everyone, then we got a problem. I'm going to be speaking a couple of weeks at this conference. It's a very big conference. It's the Science and Non-Duality Conference. It's called the SAND Conference. And I'm very, very pleased to have been asked to participate in it. Initially, it was as part of a panel, and then I got asked to submit something for my own, and apparently they really liked it because I have 2 slots to do, to now do that. And And I'm being billed now as one of the featured presenters. So my session at this SAN, Science and Non-Duality Conference, is actually going to be a spinoff of one of my sermons a few weeks ago. Some of you might have been here when I gave the sermon, what if I don't want to be one with them? And that's my topic. What if I don't want to be one with them? The inconvenient truth of non-duality. And I get two shots. 2 shots to do that. Truth is inconvenient. Truth is inconvenient because truth breaks your story. Listen to what I'm saying. Truth breaks your story because once you transcend it, once you see that there's something more than just your side, you get a whole nother view. And that view is going to compel you to go in some other directions. It's going to make you see things that you didn't see before. I like the way my mentor Beckwith puts it. He says, the truth shall set you free. First, it'll piss you off. We don't always like what we see. We don't. I always pray the oneness prayer when I get really stuck. And I don't care whether it's me on a one-on-one or stuff I've got going on with people I've never met at some global level. How am I them and how are they me? That's the gusto, baby. How am I them and how are they me? And I guarantee you, you will never like the answer. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. Speaking power into truth. Part of our purpose statement says that we honor all paths that lead to truth. We don't honor all paths. We honor all paths that lead to truth. Not all paths lead us to truth. Listen to what I'm saying. And sometimes there are a lot of religious tenets that don't lead us to truth. I'm just saying. At their core, I think most of the, particularly the major religions of the world, are saying the same thing. I think that their core, most of the indigenous, more earth-based religions are kind of saying the same things. But how we put them out into the world sometimes has a pecking order, sometimes has hierarchy, sometimes isn't all that inclusive. Okay? I'm just saying. We honor the paths that lead to truth. What we try to do here is to hit that sweet spot that's beyond a particular culture, that's beyond a particular religion, that's beyond a particular tradition. That sweet spot that can speak universal spiritual principles, principles that are coming up at a kernel core all over the world that's relevant to today and what's going on and happening today. And there are many people in the room, myself included, where sometimes I got to go to other places to get my cultural fix. Are you with me? So, we have Catholics in the room that go to the Catholic Church. We've got Jewish people in the room that go to the temple. We've got Buddhists in the room that, do their Buddhist thing. We've got, Wicca people that, do their thing. And that's fine. I'm not expecting Inner Light to try to be the end-all, do-all, but what I am saying is that there's some kernel of truth that happens here that we can take back to wherever it is that we go, multiply the consciousness. We're not trying to bring everybody here. We're trying to take whatever happens here out to everybody. So you're free to be whatever this is that you are, but let's speak the power into truth. Are your words taking us towards more unity? Are your words taking us to more inclusion? Are your words taking us to greater sustainability? What's happening here? Like the song that Ananda just did, the Hafiz poem. It's that in Scripture it says the sun makes its light to shine on the just and the unjust. That's how we are to be. We are to just allow ourselves to shine so brightly that we don't worry about who gets our light or who doesn't get our light. We're not keeping track of who owes us. And, I've been shining on them all this time, and they ain't giving me nothing back. So why am I going to keep shining? Look, I'm shining over here, and look what they're doing with my light. I ain't giving them no more light. They're acting crazy up in here. The divine just keeps being the divine. Okay? You just have to keep being you. You just have to keep being you in alignment with the highest truth of who you know that you are. Speak power into truth. So how are you using your power right now? Think about this. Are you using your power for divisiveness? Are you using your power for judgment? Are you using your power for blame? Because I'm telling you, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck. I can hear my grandmother now. Well, if you're throwing mud on people, what? You got to get the mud on you. If you're throwing mud on people, you got to get the mud on you. Take a breath. We have a power. And sometimes it's difficult for us to claim our power. I keep getting this particular biblical story in my head. And it's the story of Moses and the call that Moses had to speak power unto truth. The call that Moses was given to go back to Egypt and to tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. So just a little bit of cliff notes about Moses' life to put this into context. So Moses was a Hebrew that grew up in the Pharaoh's house. And I'm not going to go into all of the story like how he got there, but just he grew up in the Pharaoh's house. So he grew up very privileged. His mother was with him, his sister was with him there. And he got extremely just rageful one day at the way that the Hebrews were being treated as slaves. And he killed an Egyptian guard. Okay. I'm just saying, the Bible is full of quote-unquote murderers. Okay, that God does like extremely incredible things with. I'm just saying. Okay, he kills him. And then when he realizes that people know that he did this, he bails. I mean, bails. He gets out of Dodge. Creates a whole nother life. Marries this nice black woman from Ethiopia. Yep, he did. And he became a shepherd with her father, Jethro. So he's way up in age now when he's getting this call to do this. So as the story goes, he's out there with the sheep, and he sees this bush that is aflame but not being consumed by the flame. And he tells him, Moses, take your shoes off. You're on holy ground. So needless to say, he's freaking out a little bit. as anybody might do. And this conversation is going on with him in this burning bush. This is the infamous burning bush. And this bush is explaining to him, this is what I want you to do. He's like, are you crazy? First off, by now he's old. I mean, he's really up there in age. And it's one excuse after another of why I can't do this. And surely you must mean somebody else. And we have Charlton Heston with the big, parting of the seas and let my people go. Moses stuttered. He couldn't have gotten let my people go out of his mouth if he wanted to. And the burning bush, I don't care. I'll send your brother Aaron to do the talking. You just go. I'll give you everything you need. Well, just one thing, I can't do this. Well, who am I? Who am I? Who am I to do this? Who am I? How are they going to believe me? What am I going to say? When people say, well, who gave you the authority? Who just tell them, I am sent you. This is that infamous, I am that I am. That's who sent you. Hey. I have been what I have been, I am what I am, and I will be what I will be. I'm the one that's going to send you. He says, well, how are they going to know that? He says, well, I'll give you signs. And he tells them all these different things and whatnot that's going to happen, but I think you get the gist of the story. He's standing before the burning bush, and he's still coming up with, I don't have the power to do this. I can't do this. The voices tell him, I'll hook you up. I'll have somebody else do the talking. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give it. Nope, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not doing this. God wastes nothing. God wastes nothing. The thing that he was most afraid of, to go back into the Pharaoh's house, was the very reason why it had to be him. He was raised in the Pharaoh's house. He knew. He knew the culture. He knew the people. He had access. He could speak the language. It's got to be you. Well, I've messed up. I've done whatever. But no, this is yours. And that's how it is in our lives. There's a lot of stuff we run from or run away from. Whatever. Our culture, our heritage, our history, our family stuff. Or we have all these reasons why it can't be me. I don't have the capacity. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. But all of us have the equivalent of a burning bush within us. All of us have the equivalent of that within us that is constantly saying, come up and come out. I got you. Whatever it is that you need, I'll do it. And we're doing just like Moses. No, I can't. No, I can't. And Moses was being asked to speak power into truth. He was being asked to do that. You cannot enslave people. That's against spiritual truth. It doesn't work that way. That can only last for so long. The thing about truth, it's sustainable. The truth is ongoing. Truth is regenerative. Truth is restorative. Truth, if it's really true, it's self-fulfilling. It's self-perpetuating. It doesn't need a whole bunch of other people to come in there and make it happen. It'll happen with or without you. You just shouldn't get in the way of it. Okay? It doesn't need you to happen, but what it needs is you to stop getting in the way of it happening. See, people will be self-fulfilled on their own. We don't need to go around and make that. What we need to do is take away the impediments. What we need to do is take away the stuff that prevents people from being who they are. We don't have to go around. That is innately within every person. If you don't stop them, they'll do it. If you provide the same access for everybody, can you imagine if everybody got an education? Oh my God, could you imagine if 7 billion people were educated around the world? There'd be cures for everything that we could possibly think of. We'd probably be traveling the galaxy. I mean, who knows the genius that would be unleashed if everybody could tap into their potential? It blows my mind. It blows my mind just the thought of it. This kind of power comes with a responsibility. That's what I'm saying. This kind of power comes with the responsibility to not abuse it. To not abuse it. I'm hearing another Bible story. Okay, so another one of my favorite Bible passages that I say a lot is, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Well, that's a phrase from David. This is the same little David that was David, the little shepherd boy, David and Goliath. Well, he grows up to be king, and I'll spare you the story how he got to be king. He wasn't supposed to be in the lineup, but he did. He became king. And he was the biggest king in Hebrew history. Now, one of the things that he did while he was king is he had his way with a lot of women. And one of them was a woman who was the wife of one of his generals. Yeah. Yes. Drama. Yes. Bathsheba. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And he impregnates her. Right? Now, her husband is away. He's in the fields. He's in the battlefields. She's going to get stoned to death because she's obviously committed some kind of adultery. So when the troops come back, he tries to get Bathsheba with her husband, Uriah, to at least appear like perhaps this baby could have been his. But when he comes back, he won't even sleep with his wife. He won't even do that creature comfort. He's out in the street with his fellow troops on his leave back home. It's like, oh. So David does something cold. I mean, cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. Ice cold. He sends Uriah out into the battlefield and commands everybody to desert him and leave him out there by himself. I mean, cold. And of course, he's killed out there. And now that she's a widow, he can take up with her. King David can have her. So he makes her a widow. His own general, he has killed in the battlefield, with the rest of his people deserting him. I'm telling you, the Bible, oof. God uses everybody. Everybody ain't necessarily all that of a nice thing. Baby dies. Baby doesn't live but, I think, 6-7 weeks or something like that. And he is so beyond mournful. And that's when he comes up with this, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. So many of the songs that you hear us sing around here are from Psalms, and he wrote these Psalms. He wrote these beautiful, beautiful passages. And then they went on to have a second son, Solomon, and, on and on and on. But he misused his power. Are you with me? Yes, we have power to do things, but if you go against truth, if you go against wholeness, that somehow or another you have a moment of reckoning. And I'm not saying that like God came and killed the baby. What I am saying is that if you are too far away, stuff will happen. Something will bring you to your knees where you will do the about face. Like the way we got the hymn Amazing Grace, where it's a slave trader who suddenly realizes, I was lost, I was blind like Paul, and now I see. It's this turnaround moment. If you are out of alignment with truth, something will happen to have to turn you around. Now, drama's optional. You get to determine whether you need a 2x4 or what it is that you need. But you can use your power towards wholeness. You can use your power towards compassion, towards generosity, towards inclusion, towards embrace, towards something that is an upliftment of everybody. And if you're not using your power that way, you're using it the wrong way. Speaking of using power the wrong way, so I was catching up on my news last night, and I saw the debut of the first time of this presidency, our U.S. president at the UN on September the 29th. And I honestly couldn't believe it. I am still shaking my head. And I'm talking here now from spiritual principle. This was the most attended UN conference probably ever. You can imagine. People wanting to know, what was America going to say? So not only was it the America first, I want everybody to know, we're America just first. Now, first off, that doesn't work. Okay? The world isn't like that. Besides just from logistical economic stuff, we don't have our own planet. There's no American planet. There's no American atmosphere. There's no American climate. There aren't American waters or ocean. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. We're 5% of the world's population consuming 35% of its resources. Hello. Maybe if we stayed in our own backyard, we'd have a right to say something like that. But you can't consume 35% of the world's resources talking about your country when your stuff didn't come from your country. I'm just saying. But when we got to the point in the speech, besides all of the America first and every country should do what they want to do for their own self-interest, and then there's this whole litany of our mandates for Cuba and Venezuela and Iran and all of these threats. But when I heard that if certain conditions weren't met, we would have no other choice but to totally destroy North Korea, you crossed a line, baby. No. and then to refer to their president and the rest of the Senate and Rocket Man is on a suicide mission? No. No. This is when the people have to assume their power. This is when, and the irony of the only country in the world that has dropped atomic bombs to say, if you don't get rid of your nuclear warfare, we're going to totally destroy you. No. No. You can't. Listen to what I'm saying. If there's something you don't want people to have, don't create it. If there's something you don't want anybody else to have, don't create it. You can't control energy. If you look at big inventions or big breakthroughs, what you will find is that there's a window, usually like 5 to 10 years, where all around the world, other people had the same patent. So there'll be all this race to try to figure out like who really was first, because the timing's so close. Yes? It's like the idea whose time comes. So don't even participate in it. Don't even be a part of it. If it's something that you don't want other people to have, don't do it. But what I do know is that we, the people, have power. We have military bases in 120 countries. 45 cents on every dollar of the military is ours around the world. 45% of all military expenditures is us. We're like 9 times the closest. We're 45, everybody else who's even close is like 4 or 5%. That's how massive. When we keep saying we're the most powerful, it isn't because we're the smartest or the brightest or the richest, is that we have more military power than anybody to act like a bully. And we've already proven, you can talk about Russia, we've already proven what we can do. No, we can't be a bully. And we certainly can't talk about totally destroying another nation at the United Nations that we created to make sure stuff like that never happens again. This is our burning bush moment for us as a people. The planet is crying out, let me go. Don't keep denigrating me and oppressing me. Let me go. The nations and the peoples of the world are crying out for some freedom and some sanity. Okay? Moses was raised in the Pharaoh's house, so he had access and he had power. The rest of the world is looking to Americans to step up and start speaking power to truth and say, not in our name. We have another vision. We have a vision of a global world. We have a vision of all of us working together, where all children can be safe, where everybody can be provided for, where we can have a planet and an environment that is sustainable. That's our vision. And we cannot get paralyzed now. We cannot get mealy mouth now. We cannot sit there, ooh, what they're doing in the White House. I don't care. We need to stand up. Our voices need to be heard. Now is the time. And if I sound angry, I am. Unapologetically. But the kind of anger of the prophets of old. It said that you're on a trajectory. It's a trim tab moment, like with the ship. Just a little tweak and it'll veer in a whole other direction. But the direction in which we're going now is World War III, baby. And that ain't pretty. And we cannot sit around. We wonder, what happened in Europe? How did that happen? It's like a bad B- movie. We cannot just sit around. Don't get paralyzed now. You say, well, what can I do? Even if you don't do anything in the political arena, I am asking you to assume the power of your own energetic field. Don't get into the fear. I'm angry, but I am not afraid. Okay? What you hear is a passion. But I'm not cynical. I'm not cynical. Quite the contrary. It's because I have so much belief in humanity and humankind. It's because I have so much belief in our goodness, so much belief in our potential, and such hope that with a presence as strong as we have all over the world, if we could use that presence for upliftment, oh my God. Oh my God. And there's nobody else on the planet that has the power and the capacity that we do to make that shift and to make that change. It's our turn. And it's now. Watch what you say. If people listen to your phone calls, if they look at your Facebook, if they drop in even on your dreams, are you going towards the direction of wholeness and truth, or are you putting more fuel on the panic button? Seriously. Turn it around. Stand for what you know. Let anybody who knows you know what you stand for, not what you stand against. Exclusively. Every no is on the way to a yes. But if all they hear is the no, you haven't gotten to the yes. I don't care what it is. No to this, it's yes to that. No to drinking, not just for that, because it's on my way to yes to sobriety. No to this health condition, why? Because I'm on my way to fulfillment and the healing of my chi energy. No to this thing happening in my family, because I'm on my way to healing and forgiveness and restoration. The no is just one stop on the journey to get you to the yes. Get to your yes. Get to your yes. Get to your yes. Amen. Amen.